Yes.
The convention center debate is now in the laps of our state lawmakers. Which site will they put their money on? Marcia Fleur will report. Minneapolis taxi drivers may not carry out their threat to raise their rates, at least not now. We'll explain why. And imagine being faced with the task of reattaching a severed limb. We'll talk with a surgeon who performs such a task. Those stories and more are ahead on the Noon Report.
Real fruit juice.
And they're eating them like candy.
Shh. Can I have another one?
Ask your mother.
Mom, please?
Oh, I suppose so.
Oh.
New Juicycle bars made with real fruit juice in cherry, grape, and orange. Nothing artificial, and kids still love them.
Can I have another Juicycle bar?
Did you clean your room?
Be right back.
He went for it.
New Juicycle brand juice bars. What a great way to treat your kids.
Don't miss it, the greatest show on earth, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And to kick off opening night, Thursday, September 5th, WCCO-TV and Twin City Federal are offering half off the regular price. You can pick up these tickets at any Dayton's ticket office or call the Med Center. Thursday, September 5th at 7:30, see your favorite WCCO-TV personalities and share in the excitement of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Meet Mr. Jones, our stockbroker. Mr. Jones is in a depression because he's wearing one of those diapers that leak. Well, sir, take stock in Huggies. Huggies diapers are form-fitting, and they're thick and absorbent with soft, gentle elastic at the leg. So Huggies hug to help stop leaking and help keep babies happy. Now our stockbroker's wearing Huggies, and happy days are here again. Right, Mr. Jones?
Serving and informing the Twin Cities for 4 decades. This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And now, Bill Carlson, Debbie Ely, and Bud Kraehling bring you Channel 4's Noon Report.
Downtown Minneapolis or Bloomington, the debate over the location for the new convention center has been going on for weeks. Both sides have made their case, and both are asking the state for help. So the winning trump card may be played in the state legislature. Good afternoon, everyone. Bill Carlson is gone on assignment. At the top of the news this noon, the state legislature is today looking at merits of the 2 proposed sites for a new convention center. Both Minneapolis and Bloomington are asking for monetary help from the state, and legislative leaders could help to determine whether Grand Street or the Mega Mall emerges victorious. Marcia Fleur is at the Capitol with the latest. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, Debbie. This is probably the most riveting political event we've seen since the argument over where the Dome Stadium was going to be, and of course it's no surprise that the same 2 cities are involved. Both mayors came this morning, hat in hand, to talk to the governor and to talk to state legislators. Now, Mayor Lindau's group says that it cannot build the Mega Mall without state help. It will need probably over $300 million. Mayor Fraser today came and asked for $160 million in state help. That's $8 million in subsidies over the next 20 years. But he says that his city will go on and build it regardless of state help. Now, the governor, as we all know, has backed the Bloomington proposal. Several people around the table were backing the Minneapolis proposal, but everybody at the table had one problem. They wonder how the state is going to justify paying for some sort of private industrial development. Bloomington says there is some precedent, of course, because of the $1.2 billion Saturn bill that was passed last year. And after all, the Gramasians are proposing to spend $1.5 billion in the state. But it does make lawmakers very, very nervous. However, they sat there for about an hour, listened to both proposals. Then the mayors emerged to talk to reporters just briefly. Now, Mayor Fraser says he believes that almost everybody would be satisfied if the convention center were put in Minneapolis. The retail mall could be built out in Bloomington. Now, whether that's possible or not at all depends on Governor Perpich. Although the governor didn't talk to us after today's meeting, we did talk to legislative leaders who led us to understand that the governor's orders from them, if you can order a governor, were to speak to the Gramasians today and to tell them the general feeling that the amount of state subsidy that is required for the mega mall in Bloomington is certainly more than the state is willing to bear. Almost anything is more than some legislators are willing to go along with in terms of the stimulation of private industry. And the governor was also to ask them if they would be willing at all to take the convention center out of their retail proposal. Also, we got another surprise today. Mayor James Lindau of Bloomington also revealed that within the last 6 weeks, he had asked the Gramasians if they would be willing to go along with the mega mall without the convention center. At that time, they said no. So right now, we're sort of hanging fire, waiting to see what's going to happen. Certainly, the governor is not going to be calling a special session unless he gets some sort of an agreement from the cities of Bloomington and Minneapolis as to what they will support, and finding out from the legislature what they are willing to spend on such a project.
Well, that sounds like quite an action-packed session this morning.
Well, it was. I wish I'd been there. We weren't. The pictures that you saw are what is called in the presidential terms a photo opportunity. We were allowed to go in with our cameras for 2 minutes, take pictures, and then leave. We were not privy to the discussions that went on inside.
Marcia, thank you very much.
Thanks, Deb.
Last night, the Bloomington City Council approved the sale of the old Metropolitan Stadium site to the Gramasians who want to build the mega mall. Mike Walsher has more on that meeting and more on what the Gramasians are asking for in their bid for the center.
The Gramasians and their 555 Corporation say they won't bring a mega mall to Bloomington unless they get a $150 million rebate on state sales taxes. In addition, they want the legislature to kick in $6 million for a shuttle system from the airport to the mall. And they want $50 million state dollars to improve Cedar Avenue and 494 approaches to the mall site. They want those items by October 15th. Bloomington wants to issue $140 million in tax incremental bonds, and it wants another $4 million in taxes from hotel rooms and liquor by the drink. The total public price tag to make this model come to life, $350 million. Tonight, Bloomington's mayor, who meets with Governor Perpich on the center and mall issues tomorrow, was asked why the Gramasians shouldn't have to pay sales taxes.
The idea of it sprang from the Saturn project, where the entire sales tax for construction over a 30-year period was going to be rebated. They believe, the 555 people, that for a project that's going to invest $1.2 billion in the area, that there wouldn't be a major objection to setting aside some of those taxes.
Also tonight, Bloomington approved the sale of the old Met Stadium site to 555 for $20 million. That after a public hearing at which only one person made a statement. Bloomington officials are deeply committed to turning this vacant lot into something that will put their city back on the map. But getting the project through the state legislature in 56 days, and at a time when the legislature's not even in session, will be no easy task. I'm Mike Walsher, WCCO Television News, Bloomington.
Minneapolis taxi cab drivers threatening higher fares and poorer service have won round one of their battle with City Hall. The cabbies are angry because the city wanted to expand the number of licenses for taxis, but today a temporary injunction was issued delaying those licenses. It is a victory for the cabbies, and Trish Van Pilsen is here with the details.
Well, Debbie, the city has issued no more than 248 cab licenses for nearly 40 years. Last year, the Federal Trade Commission accused the city of restricting competition by setting that limit. So the City Council voted to increase the number of taxi licenses by 75 over a 12-month period. Local cab drivers, alarmed at the prospect of increased competition, took the city to court. Today, Judge Neil Riley said that sided with the cabbies and halted the issuing of licenses, at least temporarily. Judge Riley ruled the city hadn't shown a need for more taxis and said it appeared the council upped the number of licenses just to get the FTC off its back. Cabbies, as expected, are pleased with the decision.
I'm overjoyed. I really am. I was afraid of losing my business. I was afraid I was going to have to go out of business because of the increase of cabs. No, I'm not going to. Right now, anyway.
It really built up my confidence in this country. I'm originally from Afghanistan, and I heard many times when I talked to my friends that it's going to you cannot fight a city hall. It just built up my confidence. When you're on the right track, you can fight a city hall.
Trish, you mentioned that the Federal Trade Commission initiated all of this. On what grounds did they figure Minneapolis needed more taxis?
They're not arguing that the city necessarily needs more taxis in terms of demand. What they're arguing is that if there are taxi cabs who want licenses, the city has no right to say, no, you can't, because we have this artificial limit on the number of taxis we're going to have.
Then has anybody ever determined that Minneapolis needed taxis?
No, as a matter of fact, when the council debated the issue several years ago, it determined that it doesn't need a great number more. In fact, demand may be even lower. People are walking, taking the bus, and things like that. But taxi cab owners just want the option of applying for licenses if they want them.
Okay, Trish, thank you for joining us today. A man who depends on his hands for his livelihood almost lost one of them yesterday in St. Paul. 41-year-old George Mahler, a teacher at the Hubert H. Humphrey Vocational School, cut off his left hand at the wrist on a circular saw. He was rushed to St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center, where surgeons reattached the hand last night. A little bit later on the Noon Report, we'll be talking with an expert on microsurgery from St. Paul Ramsey. And just how mean could things get at the Hormel Meatpackers strike? Police in Austin have encountered one example, and we'll have that story next on the Noon Report.
My sister Harriet is in junior high. Big deal. And she getting picky in her old age. She insists on Nestle Crunch ice cream bars. She's impressed with the real milk chocolate and the real vanilla ice cream. But I'm impressed because it tastes like a Nestle Crunch chocolate bar wrapped around ice cream. When you have real stuff that tastes this good, who would want anything else? You don't have to be in junior high to know that.
Real milk chocolate, real vanilla ice cream.
Here's Corbin Seitz for Lingerie World.
As a model and fashion consultant, I know that properly fitted foundation garments can make a world of difference in the way you look and feel. That's why I recommend Lingerie World, where they have trained fitters to help you make the most of your figure. During Lingerie World's Get Fit for Fall sale, you can save on your favorite brand name body fashions, like Maidenform bras. Buy two, get one free. Lingerie World, Southtown and Maplewood Mall.
That'll be $7, sir.
Come on, let's make it 9. Volunteer to pay extra?
Only $2.
Let's give him 3.
Happens every day with long distance, but U.S. Telecom can save you more than MCI and Sprint and up to 40% more than AT&T. Anytime, anywhere, to any other state with no fees or minimums. Call U.S. Telecom, 1-800-531-1985.
$12. Okay, 13, but that's my final offer.
U.S. Telecom, the right price.
Families disagree about a lot of things,
But I want a dachshund. No way, they're...
but there's one thing they agree on. Lee jeans from Target.
Yes, they are. No,
Well, whatever we get, it's going to have to be a watchdog.
A watchdog, they bite.
Like men's and women's denims or cords, just $14.88. Or boys and girls' denims, just $12.99.
Mom!
All right, we are getting a cat.
Aww.
Lee jeans, no matter who wears the pants in the family.
Great, a watch cat.
Day 4, the Hormel Meatpackers strike, and no talks are scheduled to settle the walkout by 1,500 workers. The strikers want their lost wages restored, and the company says it cannot afford to do that. The conflict is generating strong feelings, and there have been some threats. Terry Sater reports.
Austin police are taking the death threat against Hormel's chief executive officer, Richard Knowlton, very seriously. With the help of a handwriting analyst, they now have a suspect.
The people that have received threats, naturally, we're concerned with their safety and their family's safety. We give them as much extra patrol as possible, and this spreads us a little thin in some areas, but we're still doing the best we can.
Hoffman says he's not sure if their investigation will lead to anyone being locked up. Meanwhile, Austin's economy is locked up by more than just the strike against Hormel. The town of 22,000 people is surrounded by farm country, and grocers say shopping carts aren't as full these days because farmers are hurting. Hormel hams and other products are selling, but if the strike continues, out-of-work meat packers will bring home less to eat, and grocers, like other businessmen here, will grow more hungry.
Well, then I guess when you look at the dollars that they're receiving versus what they were making, then it could have a severe impact on our economy in town for purchasing power for the public.
Christensen says it will be about 6 to 8 weeks before the striking workers start feeling the financial pinch in their wallets and bring home less food. In the meantime, he says, it will be business as usual. With photographer Bob Cowan, Terry Sater, WCCO Television News, Austin.
Union meat packers in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, are also in the middle of a labor dispute. 2,600 John Morrell workers there have voted to give union leaders authority to call a strike if the contract talks between the union and Morrell break down. Union workers there are asking the company to restore wages and benefits rolled back in 1982. The negotiations between the union and Morrell will start on Monday. However, a major strike has been feared there for months. If you have a can of Chef Boyardee's spaghetti and meatballs on the shelf, you better be advised that there's a recall in the works. The cans may contain metal material. To determine whether you have a problem can, check on the bottom, and if it has either of these numbers, AD 165 EST 794 or AD 175 EST 794. You should return it to the store where you purchased it for a refund. The recall covers all of the upper Midwest states, and we should mention that the cans involved are the 39-ounce size. It's kind of tempting to get the winter woolens out about now. It's been chilly.
I was thinking about a recall of our forecast or something. We were tempted last night to turn up the thermostat, get a little furnace heat, but we held off for the warmer weather we're forecasting by this weekend, though you may have noticed a definite coolness in some of the remarks of the weather prognosticators over the last few days. Usually this time of the year, our temperatures would be right along in here in the low 80s, but starting last Friday, well, we had a high of 78 and 77, and Sunday was 69, and yesterday the afternoon temperature was only 61 degrees. We're forecasting around 70 today, which would still be roughly 10 degrees below the average for this day. Coolest temperatures this morning were up in northwestern Minnesota, eastern North Dakota, at Grand Forks and East Grand Forks, where the temperature was only 39. One of the warmer spots was at Pierre, where the temperature hit 60. That's the minimum temperature overnight. 43 at Redwood Falls and Rochester, and 51 was our morning temperature here in the Twin Cities. The nation's cool spot was West Yellowstone, Montana this morning. The temperature there was 34. Now, we'll be back about 23 minutes past the hour with more forecasts.
The various factions are beginning to wage a car bombing war in Lebanon. In the latest incident, 2 bombs blew up today within 3 minutes of each other in the port city of Tripoli. At last report, 21 people had been killed, 100 wounded. The bombing follows yesterday's blast in Beirut, which killed 29 people. An anonymous caller claimed responsibility for that bombing on behalf of Lebanon's Christians. And there was trouble in Cairo this morning. An Israeli diplomat was shot and killed, 2 embassy employees wounded. The 3 were in a car which was attacked by gunfire from a passing car. Police are looking for 2 gunmen who sped off in a red Fiat. 4 former hostages who were aboard TWA Flight 847 when it was hijacked are now suing TWA. The biggest suit is being filed by hostage Peter Hill. John Davis has more on that story.
It was Peter Hill, the travel agent who led 33 Chicago area residents through a Holy Land pilgrimage that ended with the hijacking of TWA Flight 847. He was among the first to appear on international television with his captors, and the first to condemn them following his release. It perhaps then is not a surprise that he also would be among the first to file suit.
Have others decided to wait and see the outcome of yours before they file?
I have no idea what the others are doing. I've had very little contact with any of my fellow hostages. A few of the group of 8 that I was with, I've had some follow-up with them. But we really haven't discussed what they're doing in that respect.
In his $1 million suit, Hill alleges that TWA failed to carry out proper security precautions in order to prevent the hijacking. It further alleges that the airline was aware of past hijackings out of Athens airport and that it neglected that information. Several other former Chicago area hostages either had no comment as to whether they planned to sue TWA or who said they were so well treated by the airline that no suit was being planned at all.
The actual plane which was involved in the hijacking was flown out of Beirut last week and will be put back into service soon. There is more hope than ever for injuries that were once hopeless. We'll have a conversation with a microsurgeon up next on the Noon Report.
This is a Curtis Mathis satellite antenna system. It looks like other satellite dishes, and it lets you receive all the great programming like other satellite dishes. But there is a difference. This satellite system is from Curtis Mathis. We'll install it, arrange financing, and we're the only company that backs every part with our exclusive 4-year limited warranty. The Curtis Mathis satellite antenna system. What makes it different is that this piece of the future is from a company you've trusted for years.
A small town, homegrown, made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone, we're ladled on and loaded up with lots of mozzarella on the pizza. Tombstone,
we pile on the goodness, we're loaded with real cheese.
We're sure the taste of Tombstone's gonna please your family. We're a small town, homegrown, made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone, made the way you make your very own. Tombstone.
Can I stop now?
Sorry.
You could scrub all day with any of these ordinary cleaners and still never get the kind of clean you do with Lysol deodorizing cleaner.
Lysol cleaner?
Look, Lysol not only cleans the greasiest dirt, it takes cleaning one step further. Lysol cleaner disinfects as it cleans. Ordinary cleaners don't. Lemon Fresh Lysol cleaner takes cleaning
one step further.
There you go. Great day for it, isn't it? They say it's the best year ever. Well, I'm sure ready. Can't pass up a deal like this. They tell me there's thousands of them, more than ever before. Really? No kidding. Would I lie? No limit either. Watch your step. We're almost there. There they are!
It's closeout time, the savings season. Join the closeout bargain hunters at your hometown Northland Ford dealer today.
41-year-old George Moeller is recovering at this hour following surgery last night to reattach his left hand. As we mentioned earlier, Moeller, a vocational school teacher, was injured by a circular saw yesterday. He was cut at the wrist. Surgeons at St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center spent hours reattaching the hand. And with us today is Dr. Bruce Cunningham, the man who performed the first microsurgery at St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center. And how long ago was that?
We set up the first regional microsurgical center at St. Paul Ramsey in 1980. And we've been very active replanting digits and hands since that time.
A digit is what?
Digit is a single finger, which actually last night there were two replantation operations going on at the same time. Dr. Tom Varecka was putting on Mr. Moeller's hand, as you mentioned, and then Dr. Tom Dressa was putting on 4 fingers of another gentleman that cut himself with a circular saw.
Now, we're seeing some videotape of one of those operations last night. I think that was Mr. Moeller's
That's
operation.
Right. That was the procedure that Dr. Varecka did. And this is an excellent operation. We have the technology to put almost anything that's cut off back on. And the real important thing is to have experienced surgeons like Dr. Varecka who can make the decision, will this hand work for the individual? The key thing is not putting it back on, but exercising medical responsibility so that we're not just show-offing, we're actually giving the man a hand that's going to function for the rest of his life and be better than any artificial hand would possibly be.
Dr. Cunningham, it seems like we are seeing a lot of these operations lately, not just at your hospital, but at some of the other hospitals in the Twin Cities. What's the reason for that?
Well, I think the Twin Cities is blessed with having some of the most highly technological medicine practiced here that is practiced anywhere in the country. And because of the technological backup and the excellent facilities, the helicopters and all of that, we're attracting some of the best surgeons in the country to come here and work. So there's been a definite increase in the number of microsurgeons since we set up the first center in 1980. And so you've got the surgeons, now you've got the air transport with the helicopters and the ambulance. People are more aware of these types of injuries, so that in the past where the parts would have been discarded, now they're at least coming to a center where we could try to put them back on.
So it's not just a matter of people, more people cutting off hands?
No, I think actually the number of injuries is probably staying the same as it was 5 years ago, but there's just greater public awareness.
One last question. I know this is the kind of thing that no one ever wants to have to think about, but if someone cuts off a hand, a finger, or whatever, what steps should they take immediately?
Well, I think the most important thing is to recover the item that's been amputated, save it, clean it off, and take it to the hospital. The next important thing is to take care of the whole patient. There may be a lot of other injuries, and we want to get them squared away before we bring the patient to one of the replantation centers. So save the parts and take care of the patient. Those are the two things.
Dr. Cunningham, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Still to come, we'll have Bud's weather forecast and the story of Amarillo Downs in Tulsa. Stay with us.
That'll be $7, sir.
Come on, let's make it 9. Volunteer to pay extra?
Only $2.
Let's give him 3.
Happens every day with long distance, but U.S. Telecom can save you more than MCI and Sprint and up to 40% more than AT&T. Anytime, anywhere, to any other state with no fees or minimums. Call U.S. Telecom, 1-800-531-1985.
$12. Okay, 13, but that's my final offer.
U.S. Telecom, the right price.
I don't want some wimpy tasting cereal.
If you want bushels of taste, fruitful brand.
I don't want some itty-bitty taste.
Peaches, raisins, apples, dates.
Fruitful brand.
Bushels of flavor swimming in the flakes. Fruitful brand has bushels of taste.
High-fiber Kellogg's Fruitful brand. We call it Fruitful because it's packed with bushels of taste.
Bushels and bushels and bushels of taste in Kellogg's Fruitful brand.
Bushels of taste.
This is Bill Ashford on behalf of the Ashford-Wildenauer Chiropractic Clinics. No, chiropractic can't cure everything, but it's a particularly effective response to job injuries and problems brought on as a result of automobile accidents. The whiplash syndrome is an excellent example. If you've been in an accident or experienced problems involving pain or stress, please do feel free to call for an appointment. We maintain office hours from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and are pledged to a policy of accepting only those patients we sincerely believe we can help.
The word stifled might describe the fortunes of the Minnesota Twins last night in Milwaukee. Brewers pitcher Danny Darwin ended his 10-game losing streak by pitching a one-hitter against the Twins. The only hit and a score for the Twins was in the 5th inning. It was a home run by shortstop Roy Smalley. The final score, Milwaukee 4, the Twins 1. Minnesota and the Brewers go at it again tonight. Maybe our Twins will be a little bit more lucky.
Well, sure. Keep our fingers crossed, or our baseball bats crossed.
Whatever.
Hey, I'd like to put some marigolds in your TV flower pot
please
for the
do.
day. Well, they're at their peak of summer bloom now, and originally the marigolds grew wild in Mexico, the Aztec and the French variety. Can you imagine a whole field of marigolds at one time?
That'd be pretty.
I think it would be, too. Got another kind of a pretty picture for you, too. If you haven't been out to Minnehaha Falls recently, or the Falls is still, things are still going okay at the Falls. Well, we talk about the temperature in the metro area. It's partly sunny, with the temperature reading at 63. Humidity at 54%. The wind is from the south at 60 miles an hour, and the pressure reading is 30.25 with the pressure steady. Partly sunny, temperature now at 63 degrees. Rather cool air at the lower levels, and we'll get a little heating from the sun today, causing a variety of clouds over the 5-state area. Clouds in northeastern Minnesota and have been increasing from the west to the southern part of the state. We've had reports of a few light showers from southwestern to northeastern Iowa for the morning, and Albert Lee had a few drops of rain earlier today, about 9:30 this morning. Temperature is 63 in the Twin Cities right now, and in the 50s from Duluth up through International Falls. Here we have most of the cloud cover. 71 at Rapid City, and 60 degrees right now at Green Bay, at 63 in the Twin Cities. Early morning temperatures, well, depending on your location in the 5-state area, you could add 30s, 40s, 50s, and some 60s this morning. Some 30s up here in extreme northwestern Minnesota, northeastern North Dakota, around Grand Forks and East Grand Forks. Temperature was 39. It was 60 at Pierre, South Dakota, and 51 has been our minimum in the Twin Cities area. So we still got 70s along the Gulf and some 80s over the southwestern states around the Phoenix area. For the afternoon, we're forecasting this pressure system with a low front along the Texas and up through the Ohio Valley to the northeast. Provide some showers for the afternoon, with New Orleans forecast for 94, 71 at Buffalo, 90 around Denver, 67 at San Francisco, and 70 forecast at Seattle for the afternoon. And then here in our Twin Cities area, forecast of partly to mostly cloudy with 70 for the high today. Southeast winds at 5 to 15, and this evening, partly to mostly cloudy, will be 56 for the low, and still winds from the southeast. The forecast for Wednesday's variable cloudiness, chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms with a high of 75. Now that's a slight chance of showers for tomorrow. We'll put that at a 20% possibility. So we'll have kind of a variety of cloudiness for the afternoon tonight, mostly cloudy.
We're talking fair Thursday. We're not going to have any showers for the fair,
Well, there is a chance of rain on Thursday. Now, we'll see what we can do about that later today.
You do that. All right.
We'll work on that.
Finally today, there's still time to get your ticket to Tulsa. This weekend is set aside every year to honor a creature that's pretty rare in this part, the armadillo. Armadillos from all over the Southwest are training for the big armadillo race as a part of the Tulsa Festival. Among the guests, one famous armadillo, Tex. I guess this is Tex here, who starred in a couple of movies. Despite his fame, Tex is just a little bit camera shy, probably just the jitters before the weekend race. I wonder how the odds makers determine